right, so today I'd like to talk about a term I'd like to refer to as free satellite channels, or free satellite. I like to coin that phrase for what I like to talk about because a lot of people refer to it as free to air, but I like to call it free satellite. The reason why I like that is it just sort of refers to what I do is free in the clear channels, channels that are not encrypted, free, fair game channels for anyone to get. That's equivalent to getting similar to your TV aerial, getting free channels with that, etc. So I get a lot of questions about free satellite. I guess I'd like to go through some of my frequently asked questions that people have asked me. One of them is, can I use my old subscription receiver as for free satellite? No, because usually those subscription satellite receivers, I'll give you, like in North America, it's I think we have Dish Direct, Bell and Shaw Direct, and we have Sky for some. I believe Sky's in Mexico. So those are really the satellite services that are available, and those are what I refer to as subscription stuff. And more what I focused it on is more free. Free is where you do have to buy your own equipment, but there's no monthly fees. It's just you buy the equipment and then the service is paid for by the broadcaster who puts their signal up on a satellite, like for example Galaxy 19 or on C-band or somewhere, and it's not scrambled, so it's free for anybody to watch. So I get a lot of questions, can my receiver work? And the answer is no, because they're generally a proprietary software in them that only doesn't allow you to do a blind scan. I mean, it would be neat if they offered that, where you could have your subscription service, but they don't really want that. They don't even want to mention free satellite. They don't even want people knowing it exists as an alternative. It doesn't have, and then that's where I'd like to get into another thing is, when you hear the term free satellite, a lot of people think like you're going to get subscription stuff for free, and that's not what I'm talking about at all. Subscription stuff is that you have to pay a subscription for. But what I mean by free satellite is there's hundreds of channels that are free and are fair game, and they're not scrambled or encrypted. Scramble's kind of an old analog term, but encrypted, that you can get. Now, encrypted channels, with a free satellite receiver, you will see encrypted channels, but usually you can't get them. Sometimes it will say encrypted, but then you can click on it and it still comes through, and maybe that's just your receiver having a problem with the MPEG-4 type stuff. So yeah, so generally what I talk about is free satellite. So yeah, receiver. You're going to have to get an appropriate receiver. I recommend at least, as I said in my other videos, a receiver that's capable of doing DVB-S2, which would mean that it can at least do MPEG-4, but it's 2008 as the recording of this video. And we're starting to move into HEVC, or however you pronounce that, H.265 is starting to be used in broadcasting for 4K content. So generally, those receivers are not, I think they're usually $100, $200-ish for a receiver. Now, when you put that in contrast to what you pay for a monthly subscription, services, sometimes it's $100 a month. And I will say, to subscription service, you'll get a lot more content. Like on subscription, you'll get channels like, so I'll use an example. I'll pick on TLC for a minute. TLC is a subscription channel. Even though they have commercials galore, and your satellite company or cable company will put their own commercials in a premium cable channel like TLC, it still has ads. So you're paying for it in a lot of areas. TLC, for example, you have to pay for that. Now, so I'm not saying you can get that, you have to pay for it, but I don't want to pay anything, so I'm just not going to watch it, and I'm not going to pay to watch their commercials. I'm just going to get whatever I can get for free on my over-the-air and with my free-to-air setup, my free satellite setup. So I just want, a lot of people ask, can I get all the subscription stuff? And generally the answer is no. Sometimes on free satellite there is channels that are generally cable channels that will be up on free satellite and will be unscrambled, unencrypted. Still using that analog term, unscrambled. I think a lot of them are on C-band. And another thing I want to get into is there is C-band and there is KU-band. And with a C-band dish, you can also get KU-band. With a KU-band dish, which is smaller, it's usually a 90 centimeter dish, I think is the size of them. It's a little bit bigger than 90 centimeters. I think your Bell or your Dish Network dish is about that, and then a 90 centimeter would be about that big of a dish that you need to receive free satellite stuff. So and that segues into my next question I get a lot is, can I get free satellite with my Bell or my Dish Network or DirecTV or my Shaw Direct? I know for sure with a Shaw Direct dish, here in Canada, I can use a Shaw Direct dish, and I have one aimed at 97 West.
Yeah, another thing I'd like to say, if you have a Shaw Direct dish in Canada, you can use it for 97 West and for some KU band satellite reception. The only thing is to be aware of is it is a smaller dish, so it'll be harder to aim and tune and get the channels, but it can be done. Also, like this dish, I have it on the fence. Put it on wood is not ideal. Wood can cure and the dish can move, so your signal can be lost. I've also put a satellite dish on a tree, and the tree can cure, and also when on a windy day you can see the signal pixelating. Actually, with this dish on a windy day, it kind of blows the fence, and then sometimes the dish wiggles too and I lose signal. So be aware when installing a dish. Like this is a place where I had line of sight to put it, so I put it there, but also I have to kind of come back out. That's why a satellite meter is handy to have, so you can retweak your satellite dish.
So I can get all the channels that are free channels on 97 West, which I talked about in my other videos on this channel, of the channels that you can get on 97 West, all international channels. I find it interesting watching channels. There are non-English channels. There'll probably be over 100 channels on there that are not even English. They're other languages. But I like looking at see what you see in other parts of the world. I like to see how they edit shows and how shows are made in different parts of the world. It's kind of you get an interesting view of the world, seeing how television programs are from around the world. And that's another thing with a 90 centimeter dish. There's a lot of content, but it's very special interest content. And that's usually when people want to get into free satellite. The first step, I guess, into doing that would be getting a KU band dish. That's how I started. I got a KU band dish with a motor, and I would just move it around the geostationary arc and find the free channels that I wanted to watch, or could get. And I think when I did get into it, even 8 years ago, there was more KU band channels than there is now. Another thing you'll need for KU band is a linear KU band LNB. Now that is, so I get a lot of people asking, can I use my Bell dish or can I change the LNB? Technically you can, but it's going to be a lot of headaches. I'm not even going to make a video trying to show you how to do that because it's just such a headache to get that working. Technically it's possible, but the easier thing to do is to buy an actual KU band dish with a proper linear KU band LNB, which will be inputting at a frequency of 10,750 for your KU band setup. That being said, where do you go buy this? Well, you don't walk into Best Buy and say, give me a free satellite system that I can buy and set up at home. They don't sell that stuff. There's a few computer stores. I see them in stores. I see them more in like the smaller independent electronics stores where they have maybe a store that might sell, I don't know, just like electronic stuff like circuits and stuff that you actually build electronics things. Sometimes those stores will have free satellite equipment. But generally you have to go online. You're going to have to order it online, and that I review some of their stuff would be Tech 2000. And they have receivers, dishes, and stuff, and you could order through them.
Are you looking for a satellite dish, a satellite receiver, or a actuator, or a satellite meter, or an LNB, or any satellite products for your free-to-air setup? Go to tech2000.com. Look at their wide variety of merchandise of many free-to-air satellite products that will soothe your satellite needs.
Also with broadcasters, I think broadcasters should, I don't know, I think they should be, especially like over-the-air broadcasting, it should go toward KU band. But broadcasting, see, we're in a different world now too. Eh? Like cable companies and subscription companies are changing. That, like, they're losing their subscribers to streaming. Free satellite is an alternative. It doesn't have everything. I mean, it doesn't have everything that you would have with cable, but there's so much stuff online, and people are, and another question is, people would say, well, why not just stream? And you could do that. The only reason why I'm a very big proponent of free satellite is there's no data. You're not using any data limits through an ISP, for internet service provider. And also, people in the country or places where they don't have reliable high-speed internet, this is a great alternative to streaming. So there's still things with satellite that I prefer better than streaming. Like there's that. There's the reliability. If your internet, your power goes down, or your internet goes down in your area, you still have that. And also, if there was a natural disaster, generally, like say if there was an ice storm, we just had a small ice storm here in Ontario. My satellite dish still worked, so long as I had power. Even though if I had a backup power system, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to run it off of a laptop. I don't have the equipment to do that, but I could. If I had some backup power equipment, I could, still get my satellite and get news. I get local news with the over-the-air stuff, but more just to keep watching stuff. Snowstorms. There's been videos where I've gone out and brushed off my satellite dish because some of the weaker signal wasn't coming through. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about my C-band dish. Now C-band, it's not like I promote C-band. Like C-band's just better than KU band because of the less of rain fade. I actually wish most of the channels that are on C-band would be on KU band just because it would make things easier. I mean, sure, they'd be rain fade, but then people would more accessibly get some of the free content channels that are on C-band. So I really wish that more of the broadcasters were on KU band. As times are changing now, like for example, if companies like SpaceX making it cheaper to put satellites in orbit, I'm hoping that the cost of KU band for broadcasters will be cheaper, and that will be a viable alternative. Have your content up, have it up there for free, and it's great for your advertising. Like you can make, you got more eyeballs watching your programming for advertising content. And some people will say, well, I don't like advertising. I come from a bit of an advertising background, so I find advertising. My father worked in advertising, and so he looked at it this way: is he delivered flyers. So those flyers for local businesses help those local businesses help business grow, which actually got people employed, and so it helped the economy through advertising. So I look at advertising. A lot of people say, advertising. I look at advertising as a positive thing. Maybe people don't like being bombarded with the advertising, but it helps. I don't know. It's just the way I've always looked at it. Being in an advertising family, I'm kind of pro-advertising. If you want, there's non-advertising options. I mean, if you want PBS, there's no ads in PBSs. They might get funding from the Koch brothers or somebody like that, but somebody's funding the programming for PBS. TV Ontario, TVO. It's no longer referred to as TV Ontario. It's I don't know if they get federal or if they get money or not, but from the government. I think PBS and TV Ontario and NPR and places like that, I think they do get funding from the government, but they also rely on people to donate to keep them going. So there is broadcasting like that is free. PBS, like I got a PBS on the antenna, I get 4 channels on PBS. And plus, that's another thing, if you're a PBS fan, there's 2 satellites on KU band that you can get all the PBS programming, including PBS Kids. Because if you have kids, and I talk to people that have young kids, and that's a great channel. Daniel Tiger, based on Mr. Rogers, awesome stuff. So PBS, you can get that. I'm not actually. This video is not necessary to talk about the channels you can get. If you want that, there is a video I done. I'll put a link in the description about channels that you can get on KU band and channels you can get on C band. And also, if you don't want to listen to my voice, go to Linksat. Linksat has all the channels listed there, but I've done a video kind of explaining how you read the Linksat, how like it might say a channel, but then you don't realize it has an encrypted. It's an encrypted channel, so you need a subscription to view it. And there's various things when you look at Linksat, and sometimes when the frequency is 4,000, not 10,000. It's like 4,000. The frequency is 4,000 something. That's generally C-band. You're going to need a large C-band dish to get that. Okay, my friend Anthony was asking me, Anthony over at Group Galaxy Gaming and check out his channel, Group Galaxy Gaming. He was asking me about C-band on a small dish. I have tried this with my 90 centimeter dish on the motor, and I got one transponder, which was the LaCie broadcasting transponder on 99 West. That's probably one of the strongest transponders that I can get in my area. Well, there's the 107 West, because I think they spot beam for Canada. There's a few C-band transponders I can get some signal with that too. So so back to LaCie. I was able to get LaCie, but it was really pixelated. So I was getting very, very low signal on my 90 centimeter dish. I just recently got a 4-foot dish, so I'm going to try that. And I have upcoming videos where I'm going to try out the 4-foot dish with C-band and KU band. So that stay tuned for that. In Canada here, we don't have the sub-channels that they have in the States. So that's a big thing on satellite, is all the sub-channels, a lot of the sub-channels are up on mostly C-band, not CB band, but C-band. There's channels. I like the channels like Cozy and MeTV, all the old shows, Andy Griffith and Leave It to Beaver, stuff like that. Brady Bunch, corny stuff like that. I like that stuff. I like that stuff on that are on those retro channels. Quantum Leap's another good show, but it's never on when I have time to sit and watch. But it's a lot of that's on C-band, unfortunately. As I say, I wish it was on KU band. And my hope for the broadcasting industry is to see the light in this because in Europe, most people, that's what they have, is a KU band satellite dish, and they get their free, I think they call it Freeview, and they have a whole bunch of free channels that are, for depending on the region, and there's just a whole whack of channels. It's only in Canada, the United States, more it's becoming more so Canada, where they have the mentality is the only way you can get TV is through a provider. But I think they're starting to break that because people are getting streaming and stuff like that. But I'm big into news. I like news. So that's one thing I think is good about KU band. There's quite a few news channels. There's RT. There is InfoWars. I just have to fix my dish to be able to get that. There is CNC World. There's Press TV. There's NHK, and trying to think. There's a few other ones. There's one out of Ukraine, which has a lot of Ukrainian language stuff, but sometimes they have English. That's another thing with a lot of the channels is they might be a foreign language channel, but they might not be foreign language 24/7. They might have English movies with subtitles, and there's things like that you can kind of get around with the programming. Limited to KU band, but it's definitely available. And so yeah, I'll do my little piece on Galaxy 19, 97 West, and I always refer to that satellite because it has the most amount of North American free-to-air channels. A lot of people say, well, there's nothing really there, and a lot of people will say, well, there's really not much there that interests me. Like if they're looking for like a current movie channel or current programming, it might not be for them. But if they're looking for news and international programming, religious programming it's got to be like, I don't know how many, 30 religious channels, Christian channels that have men preaching at the pulpit. Sometimes it's Joyce Meyer, and then they have Smile of a Child. I endorse Smile of a Child highly. That's a children's channel I really like. I like the programming on Smile of a Child. So that would be like one of my top. I rate the highest on Galaxy 19, which is how many children's channels are there? I think that's the only one on Galaxy 19 at this time. There's other channels that are the Christian programming that do have children's programs like Saturday, Sunday morning. And it's hard, when I talk about Galaxy 19, it's like, yeah, they don't have... These are the channels they don't have anymore. So, it used to be Retro TV, and with Doctor Who and channel wrestling was on Retro TV, and that used to be on Galaxy 19. There used to be Tough TV. Oh yeah, Tough TV had wrestling, and Retro had. But there wasn't a whole lot of shows on Retro TV that I really was into. And I like old shows, but none of the old shows they had were the shows that I really wanted to watch. And what else did there used to be? There used to be a channel called EBRU. They stream. They're still available on stream, but I just never watched them anymore because I liked it when EBRU was on Galaxy 19. It was like, I'd flip by it, and if I saw something that interested me, I watched it. But I'd like to see some broadcasters take the lead and put themselves on KU band satellite, because that's where it is at. Look at Europe. That's what they do in Europe. You want eyeballs watching your programming. You want to be number one. Put a channel up on KU band satellite, preferably 97 West. But if there was a group of channels that put a group of broadcasters and put a bunch of channels on a satellite, such as there used to be a bunch of channels on 125 West. I forget the name of the satellite, but 125 West, and they've all gone away. It used to be like your network broadcasting stuff and all that, but that's gone away. So it'd be nice to see a cluster of channels on a transponder on KU band. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm hoping for, because just you get your reach for people to watch more eyeballs on your product. And we're in a world where people are turning off the cable, turning off the subscription TV, tuning out, and I don't know. I'd like to see something that's worth my time. And if I'm tired and I don't want to be at the computer, I just want to sit, click on the TV, and relax and watch something. That's where I like the movie channels, movies, and the this TV. They'll have and sometimes Laugh, because Laugh plays movies when Laugh's not playing Empty Nest and Roseanne. Saturday mornings they have movies on. I remember when Laugh first started, it had a lot more movies on. I was like, oh, this is a great channel. This is going to be great. And now it's like, I don't know, Empty Nest, Roseanne. What else do they have on there? Grace Under Fire. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to see what else is on. I'm going to go to my computer and see what's on. I'm not into these shows. Maybe you are, but it's just not what I'm into watching. The other buyer beware thing I'd like to warn you about is, if I've had people rate me, I bought this free-to-air receiver at a thrift store, but I don't have the remote. Okay, first thing, if you see a free-to-air receiver, especially an older one, and it doesn't have a remote, don't get it. You're gonna have a pain. It's gonna be a pain doing anything without the remote. Same thing with an over-the-air box. If you don't have the remote, it's gonna be useless to you. So stay away from that. Other things to stay away from is if you do see a receiver and it's not DVB-S2, stay away from it. It's obsolete. I don't even think they're worth $5 anymore, honestly. So if you see them at a thrift store, just avoid it. I recommend don't waste your money on that. Get yourself a receiver at least that does DVB-S2. It does intake 4. So that's two things when you're looking for a receiver is to, if you buy used, make sure it has that, and make sure you have the remote. If you don't have the remote, you're really screwed. Have a great day. Oh yeah, please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. Helps out the Free to Air community. Get the word out that there is an alternative. Look at your alternatives to paying for subscription TV. There's over the air. There's free satellite. There's streaming. There's lots of alternatives that are fun to play around with. I see something here. It's serving me. A balloon! Ah! It's a killer balloon! Ah!
Come on! Go!